Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Rovos Rants. My name is Mary. I'm the creator and host of this channel, Rovos Rants. Just wanted to do a quick introduction video to introduce you to myself and what the content of this channel will be about. So, I am from Canada. I'm a huge sports fan, and I root for all the home teams, all the Toronto teams. So Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto FC, the Raptors, and so on. I prefer team sports over individual sports, but I do watch individual sports at times also. I am a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I literally have a room dedicated to the Steelers. Maybe one day we'll do a video in that room. So if you're Steelers fans, here we go, Steelers. Um, I wanted to identify what makes my channel different from other sports YouTube channels. So, a lot of the other channels focus on stats and comparing athlete to athlete, whereas I want to focus on the individual athlete as well as, the things behind being an athlete, like their motivation, that mama mentality, like Kobe talked about. I want to discuss the different leagues and things that are happening in the league, individual hardships and positive things that happen. I want to have discussions about things like, my first video that I'm working on is Colin Kaepernick. Was he a bust in the NFL with only 6 seasons, or was he blackballed? We have other athletes now speaking up about, Antonio Brown has recently gone on a podcast talking about his views on Kaepernick, and we'll have a little discussion about that. I wanted to talk about Deshaun Watson and how in the world his agent got him a $120 million contract secured, all of it, for an athlete who, is looking at facing potentially 22 accusers for sexual assault, misconduct, although 2 grand juries have refused to indict. That doesn't mean that the NFL won't sanction him and suspend him for some games, and we know for at least 1 year there won't be any litigation between the accusers and Watson, since they've made that agreement at this point. I've made some notes on some other things I want to talk about, so I'm just going to be referring to my sheet here. Some of the other things I wanted to talk about are concussions and how that impacts the game, how it impacts the players, how we're seeing, even though we have all these special safety features put in, rule changes, it's still impacting the players, and what long-term effects does it have on the players. We're seeing more and more physical violence and domestic violence with athletes and their spouses and other people in the community. Does that have to do with, CTE or some part of having concussions? So we want to take a look at that and how it's also impacting not just sports like boxing and football that you would think it's, hockey, soccer, other team sports. So we'll take a look at those kind of things. We want to talk about heart attacks. Why are there so many athletes dropping on the pitch, dropping on the courts? Why has there been an increase with athletes having heart attacks? Is it something that is medically happening? You would think that with all the medical know-how they have now, we would be able to reduce those kind of things. But like we had Ericsson last year in Denmark playing soccer and literally, kick a ball and then just drop to the ground. Thankfully, he was resuscitated and brought back, and he's back playing soccer again. But obviously, that was a very scary moment. I know for myself, my heart dropped. I thought we had witnessed somebody passing on the field. And it's not that it's never happened before, but it seems to be happening more on a regular basis. So why is that? So we'll take a look at some of the reasons why that might be happening and who this has kind of happened to, why it seems to be more with soccer players than any other athletes. We want to talk about maybe sports and doping and, cheating in the different sports. And, we have ways that we're doing a lot of tracking in the Olympics, and, some of the NFL does a lot of testing, but how you don't really hear much about, say, the NBA doing testing. Is that happening? Is that happening with athletes who are the superstars, or are they just checking, random just to say that they're checking? We want to talk about transgenders in sports and how now there seems to be transgender males competing against women, and is that fair? Is that fair to women that a man a person who was born a man and now is a woman should be competing with women? So we'll have some discussions on that. I know that can be a very heatful discussion. So, when we do have those discussions, I hope everybody will be respectful, because I think there is a place for respectful dialogue without, going at people and being disrespectful, and allowing people's choices and accepting of them. We want to talk about major incidents and accidents on the field. Like I mentioned, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and when I saw Ryan Shazier, go helmet to helmet and then was instantly paralyzed, and again, thankfully, he was able to, get back and start walking again, but, his football career is over. So, those are the kind of things we want to talk about too. Is there ways to protect our athletes even more? Was this just a freak accident? Sports and social media. So we have a lot of athletes going on social media, fighting with their fans, fighting with each other. There's all these little beefs happening between the athletes, and what's the point? What's the point? You're not going to know these people. They don't know you on an individual basis. Why do the athletes seem to care so much? Is it because of their brand, or is it because they're just taking things personal? We want to talk about the impact of sports on society. We can talk about activism. We can talk about, community involvement, and how a lot of athletes are stepping up in their communities and providing financial and supporting different, children's organizations or health organizations, using their name to bring some awareness to some of these programs. We can talk about sports and gambling. And in the past, some of the people who've been caught, some who haven't, some theories that some people have about some others. Is there point shaving going on? Just recently, I've heard some rumors about NBA point shaving, and whether that's really true, I don't know if we'll ever really know, but it's something that we can discuss. And we want to talk about some sports scandals and things that have happened over the years. And, as the days go on, there's always something in the news about sports and scandals, so we can discuss some of those things. We can talk about how rule changes and how the games have changed. So, in the past, a lot of the sports were a lot more physical, more violent, whereas now there seems to be a lot more skill development in athletes, and a lot of the things that were okay back in the day is no longer allowed for player safety. We want to talk about what happens when athletes are beloved by their communities, and are put on a pedestal, and then it turns out that the athletes do something, and the fans turn against them. We'll use Kyrie Irving, for example. Sat out for many games because of his choice not to take the jab, and how that affected, his fan base and his teams, and how people viewed him. So, those are just some of the topics that I want to discuss. We will, on occasion, discuss other things that are happening in the world. Um, if I had started this channel a little bit earlier, we'd probably be doing some Johnny Depp stuff, Amber Heard, because that's absolutely crazy stuff that's happening right now. And that fascinates me, how people can be that crazy. We'll also just look at, other things that are happening in the world, and, have a few minutes, maybe each week, just to kind of pick up on some odds and ends. If there's ever a suggestion, you can email me at rovosrants@gmail.com. I'd love to hear some feedback from you, and any suggestions of shows you'd like to see. If you are somebody who would like to come on the show with me and have a discussion, let me know what topic you want to talk about, and your name, maybe a little bit about you, and I'll be sure to reach out. And that's just a little intro to my channel. I hoped that you will find that these are some of the content material that you'd be interested in talking about and hearing about. I'd love to be interactive with my chat. If you, again, are interested, please subscribe, like, and share. That will help the algorithm to get out to more people. The more people we can get watching this channel, the more I will, put out more content. If, this is something you're interested in, please join my channel, and I hope to hear from you, and see you soon. Have a great day.